6 months had passed since the first alien ships entered the Sol system, and the Galactic Council chambers on Zephyria Prime were filled with an atmosphere of panic that had never existed in the organization's 1,000-year history. Emergency sessions were called daily as reports arrived from across Council space, describing situations that should have been impossible according to everything they understood about galactic politics and military science. Commander Vexathari stood before the assembled delegates, his forearms trembling slightly, as he read the latest intelligence reports. His blue skin had taken on a pale shade that indicated extreme stress among his species. The yellow eyes that had once shown confidence now displayed the fear of someone who realized that everything he believed about the galaxy was wrong. Fellow council members, Vexathari began, his voice lacking the authority it had possessed during the original discussion about humanity. I must report that we have completely lost contact with the 5th Expeditionary Fleet. Admiral Krelmoth's final transmission was received 18 days ago, requesting immediate evacuation from the Sol system. The delegate from the Zephyrian Council raised one of her 6 tentacles, her melodic voice now carrying tones of anxiety. What was the content of that final message? Did Admiral Krelmoth provide any explanation for the fleet's situation? Vexathari touched his wrist device, and Admiral Krelmoth's image appeared in the center of the chamber. The alien commander looked defeated, his scarred hide showing new injuries and his remaining arm shaking as he spoke. Council Command, this is Admiral Krelmoth reporting from the Sol system. My fleet has been completely defeated by human forces. They possess technology and capabilities far beyond our intelligence estimates. Request immediate evacuation for surviving personnel. The image flickered and continued. Warning to all Council forces. Do not engage human ships without overwhelming numerical superiority. They learn and adapt faster than any species we have encountered. Their military capabilities are increasing daily. This is not the primitive species we expected to find. The transmission ended with Admiral Krelmoth looking directly into the camera. If this message reaches the Council, know that humanity represents a threat unlike anything we have faced before. They are coming, and I do not believe we can stop them. Silence filled the great chamber as delegates processed this information. The idea that a primitive species could defeat the most powerful fleet in galactic history seemed impossible, yet there was no denying the evidence before them. The delegate from the crystalline hegemony spoke with a voice like breaking glass, but now the sound carried undertones of fear. What happened to the 3 scout fleets that were sent to investigate? Surely they could provide additional intelligence about the situation. Commander Vexathari's pale blue skin became even lighter as he consulted his reports. All 3 scout fleets have failed to report back. Long-range monitoring stations detected brief energy signatures consistent with combat operations near the Sol system, but no detailed information has been received. What the Council did not know was that their monitoring stations were providing incomplete information because human forces had learned to interfere with galactic communication networks. Teams led by Lieutenant Commander Amy Rodriguez had developed techniques for intercepting and modifying alien transmissions, ensuring that the true scope of human capabilities remained hidden until it was too late for effective countermeasures. The Rai Void Swimmer delegate moved forward on his floating platform, his bubbling speech converted by the translator into words filled with desperation. What about the 4th battle fleet that was dispatched 2 weeks ago? Surely 400 ships would be sufficient to restore control of the situation. The answer to that question was being demonstrated in space near the edge of the Sol system, where the 4th battle fleet had encountered human forces that bore no resemblance to the primitive species described in their intelligence reports. Captain Jake Morrison led a fleet of over 600 human ships, many of them incorporating alien technology that had been improved beyond its original specifications. Enemy fleet detected at maximum sensor range, Morrison's tactical officer, reported from the bridge of the EDF Defiance. Configuration matches intelligence reports for a Council battle fleet. Estimated strength 412 ships of various classes. Morrison studied the tactical display, noting the enemy formation and probable capabilities. Signal all human ships to begin Phase 4 operations. Show them what we have learned about their technology during the past 6 months. The battle. That followed would become known in galactic history as the moment when the balance of power shifted permanently away from the established order. Human ships moved with coordination that seemed impossible for a species that had only recently achieved interstellar travel. Their weapons had been enhanced using principles that combined human engineering with alien science to create devastating effects. Captain Lisa Park commanded a squadron of heavy destroyers that had been built using completely redesigned alien technology. Her ships could generate more power than original alien designs while using fewer resources and requiring smaller crews. Most importantly, they were crewed by humans who understood warfare in ways that no galactic species had ever considered. Target: the enemy command ships first, Park ordered as her squadron engaged the alien fleet. Use captured Council recognition codes to confuse their targeting systems. Make them think some of their own ships are attacking them. The psychological warfare tactics worked perfectly. The alien fleet found itself fighting an enemy that not only matched their technology, but understood their procedures well enough to turn their own systems against them. Ships began firing on each other as human electronic warfare systems convinced their computers that friendly vessels were actually hostile forces. General Alex Kane watched the battle unfold from his command center deep beneath the surface of Mars, where human military headquarters had been established in facilities that combined the best of both human and alien engineering. The displays around him showed not just the current engagement, but the positions of human forces throughout nearby star systems. General, his intelligence officer reported, our advanced forces have successfully established bases in 17 star systems. Enemy response in all sectors has been minimal. Most Council installations are abandoning their positions rather than face human forces. Kane nodded as he studied the strategic display showing human expansion throughout this region of the galaxy. What about the political situation in Council space? Are we seeing the effects we expected? The answer came from reports that were flooding into human intelligence centers from throughout galactic civilization. Species that had been forced into the Galactic Council through threats and intimidation were beginning to question whether their overlords were truly invincible. Some were even attempting to establish communication with human forces to discuss possible alliances. Dr. Ryan Foster led the team responsible for analyzing captured alien technology and developing new weapon systems based on their discoveries. His engineers had made breakthroughs that revolutionized human understanding of physics and engineering. More importantly, they had learned to mass-produce advanced systems using human industrial techniques adapted for alien technology. We are now producing ships faster than the entire Galactic Council combined, Foster reported during his briefing to the military leadership. Our latest designs incorporate improvements that make them superior to anything in the alien databases. At current production rates, we will have over 2,000 ships operational within the next 3 months. The impact of human expansion was being felt throughout Council space as member species realized that the organization they had feared for centuries was no longer invincible. Rebellion began breaking out on worlds that had been forcibly incorporated into the Council system. Trade networks that had operated for millennia started collapsing as species refused to continue supporting an organization that could no longer protect them. Commander Vex Thari received these reports with growing desperation, as he realized that the decision to attack humanity had triggered the collapse of galactic civilization as they knew it. Emergency meetings were held daily as Council leadership tried to find some way to stop the expanding crisis. The humans have established military bases in over 30 star systems, Vex Thari reported to the increasingly empty Council chambers. Many delegates had stopped attending sessions as their home governments recalled them to deal with local crises. Their ships have been detected as far as 50 light-years from their original system. The delegate from the Altarian hegemony, one of the few remaining attendees, asked the question that everyone was thinking but no one wanted to voice. Is it possible to negotiate with them? Perhaps we can reach some accommodation that would prevent further expansion. Vex Thari activated his wrist device and a new image appeared in the center of the chamber. This time it showed General Alex Kane standing in what was obviously the command center of a major military installation. The human leader looked directly into the camera with the confidence of someone who held all the advantages in a negotiation. 2 weeks after the destruction of the 5th Expeditionary Fleet, Admiral Krelmoth found himself commanding the battered remnants of his once mighty armada from a hidden position near Jupiter's largest moon. Of the 200 ships that had entered the Sol system, fewer than 80 remained operational. The rest had been destroyed, captured, or so badly damaged that they could not maintain formation with the surviving vessels. The Admiral stood on his damaged bridge, staring at displays that showed human ships patrolling throughout the inner system, with the confidence of victorious conquerors. His tactical officer provided regular updates on enemy movements, but each report only reinforced how completely the situation had changed from his original expectations. Admiral, Lieutenant Commander Zexhai reported, long-range sensors are detecting more human ships launching from their homeworld every day. Current count is over 500 vessels of various sizes. Many appear to be newly constructed using technology salvaged from our captured ships. Krelmoth felt his remaining confidence crumble as he processed this information. How are they building ships so quickly? Even our most advanced shipyards require months to construct a single destroyer. The answer to his question was being demonstrated at shipyards throughout the Sol system, where human engineers were revolutionizing spacecraft. Construction using principles no galactic species had ever considered. Instead of building each ship individually using traditional methods, humans had adapted their industrial mass production techniques to create vessels at unprecedented speed. Dr. Ryan Foster led the team responsible for reverse engineering captured alien technology at the primary research facility on Mars. His engineers worked around the clock to understand and improve upon systems that represented thousands of years of galactic technological development. What they discovered was that alien technology, while advanced, had been designed by species that valued reliability and tradition over innovation. The alien power systems are incredibly efficient, Foster explained to his team during their daily briefing, but they are built using materials and methods that have not changed in centuries. We can achieve the same energy output using human manufacturing techniques and materials that are easier for us to produce. Human engineers did not simply copy alien designs. They analyzed the underlying scientific principles and then created new solutions that worked better with human industrial capabilities and tactical requirements. The result was a new generation of spacecraft that combined the best aspects of both technologies while avoiding the weaknesses of each. Captain Lisa Park commanded one of these hybrid vessels, the EDF Retribution, as it led a squadron of human ships on a patrol mission near the asteroid belt. Her ship incorporated alien energy weapons and shield technology integrated with human computer systems and tactical doctrine. The combination created capabilities that exceeded what either technology could achieve alone. Captain, her tactical officer reported, "We are detecting movement from the alien survivors near Jupiter. Looks like 3 ships attempting to leave their hiding position." Park studied her tactical display, noting the energy signatures and movement patterns of the enemy vessels. "Intercept course maximum speed. Signal the Phoenix and Aurora to flank them from port and starboard. Do not let them escape the system." The engagement that followed demonstrated how much human capabilities had evolved since the initial battle. The 3 alien ships found themselves facing opponents who not only matched their technology, but surpassed it through superior tactics and coordination. Within minutes, 2 of the enemy vessels had been captured, and the 3rd disabled for boarding operations. What Admiral Krelmoth did not know was that his attempts to communicate with the Galactic Council had been completely compromised by human intelligence operations. Every message he sent was intercepted, decoded, and analyzed by teams led by Lieutenant Commander Amy Rodriguez, who had become humanity's primary expert on alien communication systems. Admiral Krelmoth has been attempting to contact his superiors for the past 10 days, Rodriguez reported during a briefing at Earth Defense Command. His messages describe the battle as a disaster and request immediate reinforcement. He estimates that he will need at least 500 additional ships to have any chance of completing his mission. General Alex Kane, the overall commander of human military forces, studied the intercepted communications with interest. "What has been the response from the Galactic Council?" Rodriguez smiled grimly. "That is where it gets interesting, sir. The Council has been sending scout fleets to investigate what happened to the 5th Expeditionary. 3 different groups of ships have been dispatched over the past 2 weeks. None of them have reported back. The reason for the silence from the scout fleets was simple. They had all encountered human forces before they could complete their reconnaissance missions. Captain Jake Morrison led many of these intercept operations, using the superior speed and stealth capabilities of human ships to detect and engage enemy scouts before they could gather intelligence or report back to their commanders. Enemy scout group detected at extreme sensor range, Morrison's tactical officer reported during their latest patrol. Configuration suggests a standard Galactic Council reconnaissance formation. 6 ships total. Morrison studied the tactical plot, noting the enemy formation and likely capabilities. Launch fighters to establish a perimeter. Signal the Defiant and Independence to approach from their blind spots. We take them alive if possible, but we cannot allow them to escape with information about our capabilities. The scout fleet found itself surrounded by human ships that seemed to appear from nowhere, using stealth technology that had been developed by combining human engineering with captured alien systems. The enemy crews had no warning before their ships were disabled and boarded by human marines who had perfected the art of capturing vessels during combat operations. Major Kelly Wright had become the leading expert in boarding operations, having successfully captured over 20 alien ships during the past month of operations. Her Marines used tactics that combined human close combat expertise with alien technology to overwhelm enemy crews who had never prepared for fighting inside their own vessels. Boarding complete, Wright reported after her latest operation. All enemy personnel secured, ship's computer core intact for intelligence analysis. Engineering team is beginning system evaluation. Each captured ship provided human engineers with more advanced alien technology to study and adapt. The pace of human technological advancement accelerated with every successful operation, creating a snowball effect that would soon make them superior to their enemies in every measurable category. The psychological impact of these operations on surviving alien forces was devastating. Admiral Krellmoth watched his options disappear as more human ships appeared throughout the system, and his own forces continued to shrink through combat losses and defection. Several alien crews had attempted to surrender individually, preferring capture to continued fighting against an enemy that seemed to grow stronger every day. The situation became critical when human ships began appearing in locations that should have been impossible for them to reach. Long-range patrol vessels were detected operating beyond the orbit of Pluto, using faster-than-light propulsion systems that human engineers had developed by improving captured alien drive technology. Admiral, his science officer reported with obvious fear in his voice, "The humans have achieved interstellar capability. Our sensors are detecting ships with human energy signatures moving toward nearby star systems." Admiral Krellmoth realized that he was witnessing something that had never happened in galactic history. A primitive species was not only surviving first contact with the Galactic Council, but was rapidly surpassing Council technology and spreading beyond their home system. The implications were terrifying for every species that had supported the systematic elimination of emerging civilizations. The final phase of the Sol system campaign began when human forces launched a coordinated assault on the surviving alien fleet near Jupiter. Captain Morrison led the attack with over 100 human ships, including vessels that had been constructed using completely alien technology adapted for human operations. The battle was brief and decisive. The remaining alien forces, demoralized by weeks of constant defeat, offered minimal resistance before surrendering or attempting to flee the system. Admiral Krellmoth himself was captured when human boarding teams overwhelmed the defenses of his flagship. Colonel Sam Torres led the interrogation team responsible for extracting intelligence from captured alien personnel. His methods combined human psychological expertise with alien technology that could detect deception and emotional responses. The information gathered from these sessions would prove crucial for humanity's next phase of expansion. The Galactic Council controls approximately 12,000 star systems, Torres reported to General Kane after completing his analysis of the intelligence data. Their military is organized around the assumption that they will always face technologically inferior opponents. They have never developed tactics for fighting an enemy that can match or exceed their capabilities. Torres paused to consult his notes before continuing. Admiral Krelmoth ordered his fleet to advance toward the inner Sol system, expecting the humans to meet them with whatever primitive resistance they could manage. The alien warships moved in perfect formation, their energy shields glowing softly, as they approached what should have been an easy victory. Instead, they flew directly into the most sophisticated military trap in galactic history. The first attack came from a direction no galactic species had ever considered: hidden weapons platforms throughout the asteroid belt, disguised as mining equipment for months, suddenly activated and opened fire. Beams of coherent energy that should not have been possible with human technology struck the outer edges of the alien formation. 3 ships exploded immediately, their shields overwhelmed by weapons that operated on principles the aliens did not recognize. Shields failing on multiple ships, the tactical officer reported as alarms sounded throughout the flagship's bridge. The human weapons are penetrating our defensive system somehow. Energy frequency is unlike anything in our databases. Admiral Krelmoth stared at the tactical display in shock. Red warning symbols appeared around a dozen ships as human weapons continued firing from concealed positions. How are they generating that much power? Our intelligence showed they barely understood fusion technology. The answer came as more ships emerged from hiding positions behind asteroids and small moons throughout the system. These vessels moved with precision that suggested advanced computer control, firing weapons that seemed to learn and adapt with each shot. When alien ships adjusted their shield frequencies to block one attack, the next human weapon would find a different frequency that penetrated their defenses. Captain Jake Morrison watched the battle unfold from his position aboard the EDF Defiance, which was leading a squadron of human ships from behind Mars. His tactical officer provided constant updates as their hidden weapon systems engaged the alien fleet across multiple fronts simultaneously. "Enemy formation is breaking apart, Lieutenant," Karen Price reported from her station. "Their ships are trying to maneuver individually rather than maintaining fleet coordination. Looks like they did not expect to face organized resistance." Morrison nodded as he studied the 3-dimensional battle display. "Continue coordinated fire patterns. Make sure every shot counts. We need to convince them that attacking us was a serious mistake." What Admiral Krelmoth did not know was that humanity had spent the 3 months of his journey time doing more than just preparing weapons and ships. They had been studying every piece of information they could gather about galactic military tactics, alien technology, and the psychology of species that had grown accustomed to easy victories against primitive opponents. Human military strategists had identified the fundamental weakness in the Galactic Council's approach. Every species they had previously encountered had fought according to their own natural instincts and cultural background. The Council had developed tactics specifically designed to exploit the predictable behavior patterns of species that had evolved on single planets with limited military experience. Humans were different. Their entire species had evolved from persistence hunters who could track prey across vast distances without giving up. More importantly, they had spent thousands of years fighting wars against opponents who used similar technology and tactics. Human military doctrine was built around the assumption that the enemy would be roughly equal in capability and would adapt to changing conditions. The battle expanded as human ships emerged from concealment behind Jupiter's moons, each group attacking from a different direction. The alien fleet found itself surrounded by enemies that refused to fight according to any known pattern. Human ships would appear, fire a devastating volley, then disappear behind cover before return fire could reach them. Colonel Ben Hayes commanded the Luna Defense Corps from deep inside the moon's largest military installation. His forces were responsible for protecting Earth's most important defensive positions, and they had prepared for this moment with the dedication of soldiers who knew their species' survival depended on their success. Enemy drop pods detected, launching from the main fleet, his radar operator announced. "Looks like they are planning ground assault on Luna Base Complex 7. Hayes smiled grimly as he activated the communication system connecting him to defensive positions throughout the moon's interior. "All units, this is what we trained for. Remember, these aliens have never fought an enemy that understands defensive warfare. Show them what humans can do when we are fighting for our home. The alien drop pods descended toward Luna's surface, carrying elite soldiers equipped with advanced armor and weapons that had conquered dozens of worlds. They expected to face desperate resistance from primitive defenders, armed with chemical explosives and kinetic weapons. Instead, they encountered defensive systems that had been designed by a species that had perfected the art of fortress warfare over millennia of constant conflict. The first alien soldiers to reach Luna's surface found themselves in a landscape that had been transformed into the ultimate defensive position. Every crater had been converted into a weapons emplacement. Underground tunnels connected defensive positions in a network that allowed human forces to appear anywhere without warning. Most importantly, the entire lunar surface was covered by overlapping fields of fire from weapons the aliens had never encountered before. Sergeant Lisa Cooper led a squad of human soldiers through the tunnel network beneath the lunar surface, moving to engage alien forces that had managed to establish a foothold near the main communications array. Her soldiers carried weapons that seemed crude compared to alien energy rifles, but they had been specifically designed for fighting in the confined spaces and low gravity of lunar installations. Enemy squad detected in Sector 7, Cooper reported over her communication system, requesting artillery support on designated coordinates. The artillery support came not from traditional cannons, but from mass drivers that used magnetic acceleration to launch projectiles at velocities that turned simple metal slugs into devastating weapons. The alien soldiers, accustomed to fighting enemies who relied on energy weapons, had not prepared their armor for kinetic impacts at such extreme velocities. As the ground battle raged across Luna's surface and interior, the space battle continued to evolve in ways that shocked the alien commanders. Human ships demonstrated capabilities that should not have existed according to galactic scientific understanding. Vessels that took damage would retreat briefly, then return with their systems somehow repaired and improved. The secret was humanity's greatest advantage in warfare, their ability to learn and adapt faster than any species the galaxy had previously seen. Human engineers aboard every ship were constantly analyzing alien weapons and defensive systems, finding weaknesses and developing countermeasures in real time. What had started as a technological disadvantage was rapidly becoming an insurmountable problem for the alien forces. Lieutenant Commander Amy Rodriguez continued her reconnaissance mission aboard the EDF Hunter, now focusing on gathering intelligence about alien command and control systems. Her team had successfully penetrated the alien fleet's communication network during the first day of battle, and they were using that access to disrupt enemy coordination while feeding targeting information to human weapons. Rodriguez to all human ships, she transmitted on the encrypted tactical frequency. Alien flagship is attempting to withdraw to rally point behind enemy formation. Recommend concentrated fire on coordinates I am transmitting now. Every human ship in range immediately adjusted its fire to target the alien command vessel. The coordinated attack overwhelmed the flagship's shields and forced Admiral Krellmoth to retreat further from the battle zone. For the first time in his career, he was facing an enemy that seemed to anticipate his tactical decisions and counter them before he could implement them. The turning point of the battle came when human forces demonstrated their most devastating capability. Instead of simply destroying alien ships, human boarding parties began capturing them intact. These operations were led by soldiers who specialized in fighting inside enemy vessels, using tactics that no galactic species had ever developed because no one had ever attempted to capture ships during active combat. Major Kelly Wright led the UI's first successful boarding operation, taking her team aboard an alien destroyer that had been crippled by human weapons fire. Her soldiers moved through the ship's corridors with the efficiency of troops who had trained specifically for fighting in alien environments against technologically superior opponents. Boarding team to Hunter Control, Wright reported as her soldiers secured the alien ship's bridge. Target vessel is under our control. Engineering team is beginning analysis of enemy systems. We should have preliminary data on their technology within the hour. The psychological impact of humans capturing alien ships during active combat was devastating to enemy morale. The alien crews had been taught that their technology was superior to anything primitive species could understand. Watching human soldiers operate captured alien systems with apparent ease destroyed their confidence in their technological advantage. As the battle continued into its second day, 3 months after leaving Karis Prime, Admiral Krelmoth's fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system. The massive collection of warships appeared near the orbit of the outermost planet, expecting to find a primitive solar system with a few scattered human settlements. Instead, the first thing that happened surprised everyone on every ship. Alarms began sounding on the flagship's bridge before the tactical screens had even finished updating. Lieutenant Commander Zexai looked at his instruments with confusion, written across his scaled features. Admiral, we are being scanned by multiple sources. The scanning beams are coming from at least 12 different locations throughout the system. Admiral Krelmoth moved to the tactical display, his confidence already beginning to crack. That is impossible. Our intelligence reports show that humans have barely begun exploring beyond their home planet. How can they have detection equipment positioned throughout their entire system? The answer came within minutes as communication signals began flooding their receivers. The signals were primitive by galactic standards, but they were organized and purposeful. Most surprising of all, they were directed specifically at the alien fleet. Admiral, the communications officer reported, we are receiving a transmission from the third planet. The signal is being directed at our flagship specifically. They know we are here, and they know which ship is the command vessel. Before Krelmoth could respond, the main screen activated and displayed the image of a human male in military uniform. The human had short brown hair and serious eyes. His uniform bore symbols that indicated high rank, though the aliens did not yet understand human military structure. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Force, speaking from the bridge of the EDF Defiance, the human said in a calm voice. We have detected your fleet at the edge of our solar system. State your intentions and identify yourselves. The bridge of the alien flagship fell silent. Every officer stared at the screen in disbelief. According to their intelligence, humans should not have been able to detect the fleet until it was much closer to their planet. They certainly should not have been able to communicate with it immediately or identify the command ship. Admiral Krelmoth recovered from his surprise and activated the communication system. I am Admiral Krelmoth of the 5th Expeditionary Fleet, representing the Galactic Council. You will surrender immediately and prepare for occupation. Resistance will result in the destruction of your species. Captain Morrison's expression did not change. Admiral, I am not authorized to discuss surrender terms. I will need to consult with our leadership. How much time can you give us to respond? Krelmoth almost laughed. The human was asking for time as if he had any choice in the matter. You have 72 hours to surrender unconditionally. After that time, we will begin military operations to pacify your system. Understood, Morrison replied. We will communicate our response within your deadline. The transmission ended, leaving the alien bridge in confused silence. Over the next 3 days, the alien fleet maintained position while their sensors gathered information about the Sol system. What they discovered changed everything they thought they knew about human capabilities. Long-range scans revealed structures and activities that should not have existed for a species at humanity's supposed development level. The moon showed signs of massive industrial activity hidden beneath its surface. Mars had clearly been colonized, and showed energy signatures consistent with large-scale manufacturing. The asteroid belt contained multiple artificial structures that could only be mining and refining facilities. Most shocking of all, there were ships moving throughout the system at speeds that suggested advanced propulsion technology. Lieutenant Commander Amy Rodriguez piloted the reconnaissance ship EDF Hunter through the outer system, using advanced stealth technology to avoid detection by the alien fleet. Her mission was to gather intelligence on the enemy forces and their capabilities. What she found during her 3-day reconnaissance mission would change the course of the war before it even began. Rodriguez managed to penetrate the alien communication networks using techniques that seemed impossible to the species that had developed them. Her technical team aboard the Hunter worked around the clock to decode alien transmissions and access their computer systems. The intelligence they gathered painted a terrifying picture of galactic politics and humanity's place in it. The alien Fleet was not just an invasion force. It was an extermination fleet sent by an organization called the Galactic Council. Humanity was not the first species they had encountered. Over the past 1,000 years, the Council had systematically destroyed 47 different intelligent species that had achieved spaceflight. Some had been more advanced than current human technology. None had survived. The aliens' standard procedure was simple and brutal. They would demand immediate surrender from any species they encountered. Those who surrendered were relocated to work colonies where they would eventually die out from harsh conditions and separation from their homeworlds. Those who resisted were systematically eliminated through orbital bombardment and ground invasion, until no survivors remained. Rodriguez transmitted her findings back to Earth using quantum communication systems that the aliens could not detect or intercept. The information reached military headquarters within hours and was distributed to every major government and military organization on the planet. The response was immediate and dramatic. Across Earth's surface, military installations that had been carefully hidden from orbital observation began emerging from underground facilities. Space elevators that appeared to be simple research stations revealed their true nature as massive military launchers. Hidden bases throughout the solar system activated defensive systems that had been disguised as civilian infrastructure. The transformation was so rapid and complete that alien observers could barely believe what their sensors were telling them. Within 24 hours of Rodriguez's intelligence report, the Sol system had changed from a primitive backwater to a heavily militarized stronghold. Ships began launching from Earth, Mars, and the Moon at a rate that should have been impossible. For their supposed industrial capacity, Admiral Krellmoth watched the transformation with growing unease. His tactical officers provided constant updates on new ships appearing throughout the system, weapon signatures activating on previously undetected installations, and energy readings that suggested technology far more advanced than their intelligence had indicated. "Admiral," his science officer reported, "we are detecting over 300 ships of various sizes moving through the system. Energy signatures suggest they are equipped with fusion drives and possibly early antimatter propulsion. Some of the larger vessels show power readings comparable to our own destroyers." Krellmoth studied the tactical display showing red dots scattered throughout the Sol system. Each dot represented a human vessel or installation that had not existed in their intelligence reports. "How is this possible? Our reconnaissance showed a primitive species with limited spaceflight capability." His intelligence officer, a thin being with large eyes and nervous movements, spoke hesitantly. "Admiral, it appears our information was either outdated or deliberately misleading. The humans seem to have been concealing their true capabilities for reasons we do not understand." On the second day of the deadline, more disturbing information reached the alien fleet. Human ships were not just moving defensively within their own system. Long-range sensors detected small vessels moving beyond the orbit of the outermost planet, apparently conducting their own reconnaissance of the alien fleet. These ships were fast enough and stealthy enough that they could approach within scanning range without being detected until they chose to reveal themselves. The psychological impact on the alien crews was significant. They had expected to face a primitive enemy armed with chemical rockets and nuclear weapons. Instead, they found themselves being studied and evaluated by ships using technology that rivaled their own. Morale began to decline as rumors spread through the fleet that the humans might be more dangerous than anticipated. Captain Morrison appeared on the alien flagship's main screen exactly 72 hours after their first communication. His expression was calm and professional, showing no signs of fear or desperation. Behind him, the bridge of his ship showed advanced displays and equipment that looked surprisingly sophisticated. "Admiral Krellmoth," Morrison began, "I have consulted with Earth's leadership regarding your demands. We have also had time to study your fleet and research your organization's history with other species." Krellmoth leaned forward in his command chair. "And what is your response to our terms?" Morrison looked directly into the camera, his voice steady and clear. "We reject your terms completely. We know what happened to the other 47 species you encountered. We know that surrender means eventual extinction. We will not follow that path." The alien admiral felt his confidence cracking further. The human not only knew about the Council's previous campaigns, but spoke about them without fear. Then you choose to resist? You understand that your primitive weapons cannot stand against our fleet? Our weapons may be different from yours, Morrison replied. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched across 3 miles of polished stone and metal. Delegates from 12 different worlds sat in circles around a central platform where Commander Vexithari stood with his 4 arms crossed behind his back. His blue skin gleamed under the artificial lights as he looked at the gathered representatives. The silence in the massive room was complete, except for the soft humming of translation devices that helped different species understand each other. Commander Vexithari had served the Corthanian Empire for over 200 years. He had seen the rise and fall of many primitive species across the galaxy. Today he would speak about another one that needed to be dealt with quickly before it became a problem. His yellow eyes scanned the room as he prepared to address the Council about a small blue planet in a distant corner of the galaxy. Fellow Council members, Vexithari began, his voice carrying clearly through the hall's advanced sound system. We have discovered another species that requires our immediate attention. He touched a control on his wrist, and a 3-dimensional image appeared in the center of the room. The image showed a small solar system with 9 planets orbiting a yellow star. One of the planets was highlighted in red. This is the Sol system, Vexithari continued. The 3rd planet from their star contains a species that calls themselves humans. Our long-range sensors have detected radio signals and primitive space vehicles launched from their world. According to our intelligence, they will achieve faster-than-light travel within the next 50 years. A delegate from the Zephyrian Council raised one of her 6 tentacles. Her voice came through the translator as a melodic tone. What makes this species different from the others we have encountered? We have dealt with 47 primitive civilizations in the past 1,000 years. Most submitted peacefully once they understood our superior technology. Vexithari nodded and changed the image to show detailed scans of Earth's surface. Cities covered with lights appeared on the night side of the planet. Massive structures reached toward the sky. Ships moved across the oceans. The humans appear to be more aggressive than most species we have encountered. They have been at war with each other constantly throughout their recorded history. Their entire planet shows signs of recent conflicts and military installations. Another delegate, this one from the crystalline hegemony, spoke with a voice like breaking glass. Are they united under one government like most advanced species? No, Vexithari replied, touching his wrist device again. The image changed to show political boundaries across Earth's surface. They are divided into nearly 200 separate nations. Many of these nations maintain large military forces and nuclear weapons. They have never achieved planetary unity, which should make them easier to defeat. The delegate from the Void Swimmers moved forward on his floating platform. His speech came out as bubbling sounds that the translator converted to words. What is their current technological level? Do they pose any immediate threat to our expansion? Vexithari smiled, showing his sharp teeth. They have barely begun to explore their own solar system. Their fastest ships would take them thousands of years to reach the nearest star. They use primitive chemical rockets and have only placed a few small stations in orbit around their planet. Their weapons are crude atomic devices that would be useless against our shields. The room filled with the equivalent of laughter from 12 different species. Some clicked their claws, others buzzed their wings, and a few released pleasant-smelling gases. The idea that such a primitive species could threaten the mighty Galactic Council seemed ridiculous to everyone present. However, Vexithari continued, raising his voice to restore order, we must not underestimate them because of their current limitations. Every species we have allowed to develop beyond primitive spaceflight has eventually become a problem. The Altarians developed defensive technologies that took us 3 years to overcome. The Centaurians created weapons that destroyed 2 of our fleets before we could pacify them. It is always better to act early. The head of the council, an ancient being whose species had been part of the organization for over 5,000 years, spoke in a voice like grinding stone. What do you recommend, Commander? I propose we dispatch the 5th Expeditionary Fleet under Admiral Krelmoth, Vexithari announced. 200 warships and 50,000 soldiers should be more than sufficient to either force their surrender or eliminate them entirely. The operation should take no more than 6 months from departure to return. Several delegates began speaking at once, but the council head raised one massive hand to restore quiet. What makes you confident this force will be adequate? Vexthari touched his device one more time, and the image changed to show human military installations and weapons. Our analysis shows they have no unified command structure, no energy shields, no plasma weapons, and no faster-than-light communication. Their largest military vehicles are primitive aircraft and surface ships. They have never fought an enemy from space and have no experience with galactic-level warfare. The Zephyrian delegate asked another question. What if they attempt to negotiate or surrender immediately? Standard protocol applies, Vexthari replied. If they surrender unconditionally, we will relocate survivors to work colonies in the Outer Rim. If they resist, we will eliminate military targets first, then infrastructure, then population centers until resistance ends. Either way, they will never be able to threaten galactic stability. The vote was called immediately. Each delegate touched their voting device, and within minutes the result appeared on screens throughout the hall. The decision was unanimous. The 5th Expeditionary Fleet would depart for the Sol system within 1 week. Admiral Krelmoth was summoned to the council chambers that same day. He was a veteran commander who had personally overseen the pacification of 12 different species. His scarred hide and missing left arm showed his experience in combat against primitive civilizations. When he entered the hall, he moved with the confidence of someone who had never lost a major engagement. Admiral, Vexthari said, you have been chosen to lead the expedition against the human species. Do you foresee any complications? Krelmoth laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Commander, I have fought species with energy weapons, others with advanced shields, and some with basic space navies. These humans have none of these advantages. My fleet could probably defeat them with half the ships you are giving me. Nevertheless, take the full force, Vexthari ordered. We want this operation completed quickly and with minimal casualties to our forces. As the meeting ended, several delegates gathered around a betting pool that had spontaneously formed. They were placing wagers on various aspects of the coming campaign. How long would the humans resist? Would any of their leaders survive to be taken prisoner? How many human worlds existed in their system that might be suitable for mining operations? The general consensus was that the humans would surrender after the first demonstration of galactic firepower. A few optimists thought some humans might survive to serve as workers in the asteroid mines. Most expected the entire species to be extinct within a year. Admiral Krelmoth spent the next week reviewing intelligence reports and preparing his fleet. The more he learned about humans, the more confident he became. They were a young species, barely out of their home system, with no experience fighting anything beyond their own kind. His ships carried weapons that could destroy entire continents. His soldiers were equipped with armor and weapons far beyond human understanding. On departure day, the 5th Expeditionary Fleet assembled in orbit around the military world of Karis Prime. 200 warships of various sizes stretched across space like a metal constellation. The smallest ships carried crews of 50. The largest battleships held over 1,000 soldiers and enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. Admiral Krelmoth stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the final preparations. His tactical officer reported that all ships were ready for the jump to faster-than-light speed. The navigation computer had calculated the route to the Sol system. Fuel and supplies were loaded for a campaign that was expected to last 6 months at most. All fleet commanders report ready for departure, Admiral, his communication officer announced. Krelmoth looked at the image of the small blue planet that would soon be under his control. Begin the jump to light speed. Set course for the Sol system. It is time to teach these humans their place in the galaxy. The massive fleet disappeared into the swirling colors of faster-than-light travel, carrying the firepower of a dozen worlds toward a small planet whose inhabitants had no idea what was coming for them.